Auzu billahi minesh-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. As you know, we are nowadays discussing a new series that is LGBTQ. And we had already introduced the subject, and then I think this is our second or third time that we are taking up this same topic. It has so many dimensions. In the beginning, I may simply admit, and I had already stated earlier also, that it is such a gigantic problem, gigantic issue, that my lecture will not make any dent. It is everybody's problem. It is everybody's issue. It is for everybody to understand. It is for every family to understand. It is for every society to understand. And then I have seen in these couple of days, when after making some after during these discussions, and after that people think, for example, somebody is a doctor, is a psychiatrist, or he is something who is dealing with this subject by the side. He thinks that that's all. It's not like that. This is one issue which involves sociology, psychology, medicine, faith, economics, and I repeat, economics. And today, economy is the driving force. It is economics, and there are so many other factors. It's not one aspect. Anyway, it is up to you to kindly look into it. And then, keeping in view the questions which are raised at the end and the discussion which has been taking place afterwards, I realized that perhaps people are not so much interested in going into sequence. They have some anxiety to know something, that what are the lessons in it, or what is the conclusion. So I think they may like to wait till then. So today I'm just in a very unconventional way, I'll try to present, first of all, the lesson which we can draw. The lesson which we can draw, partially at least, the lesson. And then I'll also try to explain that what would be the conclusion, and in that conclusion, some of the important points only I'll bring here. So that we understand the perspective, and then again, inshallah, I'll go back to this level where I was trying to introduce the subject and explain its details, which are very necessary to understand it. So before even the conclusion, before even the epilogue, today I'm going to present the lessons. What are the lessons in this? What lessons we can learn? There is a particular lesson for the immigrants, and particularly those who are single, and then, of course, applies to the families also. So what is the lesson for the immigrants? The starting point. And before we do that, kindly keep one thing in mind. Till 1950s, 1960s, very clearly, till 1950s, 1960s, homosexuality was prohibited in America, in Europe, legally, religiously, socially, culturally. Very heavy penalties and very heavy punishments were given. Police used to raid. Police used to arrest, and there were very severe punishments. And if we go slightly before Second World War, in many countries, in some countries at least, but in many countries, the punishments were so severe in the law and in the scripture which was implemented, that the punishment of homosexuality was by burning, by death, by burning at the stake. So this is very strange, that what happened, that immediately the things have overturned. It's topsy-turvy. It's not only that all these things have been changed, amended, but now it has become the point for advocacy that this is the foundation of culture, civilization, family, everything, marriage, everything. It is. What is that? There must be some phenomena. There must be some events. There must be some milestones which we have to understand. One of them is the immigration. And which immigration? And in that aspect, there's one particular point at which you can pinpoint that it started. Immigrants, single men in various gendered appearances. They came from the world over in different appearances. And why they made gendered appearances? Men wearing women's dresses, women wearing men's dresses, and then men using, and for example, earrings, or women wearing something else. Why this entire shuffle, happened? Various gendered appearances encouraged by social fluidity. Social fluidity is a socio-economic term. This is very important to understand. Wherever social fluidity is happening, it happens, it keeps on happening. It happens in every generation, all the time in the world, in the economy it happens. But what happened at that time in the social fluidity? Social fluidity is movement of people from one class of economy to the other. For example, some people become wealthy overnight. They become filthy rich overnight. Now, this is movement from one class, say from poverty to the richness. This is social fluidity. But when you are talking of structures, then it goes by class by class. This is social fluidity. Wherever the social fluidity happens, all of a sudden, immediately, you have seen in the families, in the societies, that the culture within that family changes. And in order to show that we are wealthy, they start behaving like the upper class, that class which had no or less moral prohibitions. This becomes the sign, status sign. This is social. This is the symptom, but the social fluidity is moving from one economic class of the society to the other class. And social fluidity is one of these studies where people say that how the fluidity in the society in economic terms, whether it is viscosity, there is viscosity, or there is fluidity, so that people can easily move from, say, blue collar job to the white collar job. And this was provided by this society, by the Western society after Renaissance, that they made equal opportunity. Now, people could easily move from one social class to the other if somebody has merit, if somebody works. Very good thing happening. Social fluidity, that provided the opportunity that the poor people could immediately move if they have merit and if they work from one class to the other. And these are not my findings. I don't know. I have been submitting before you. I don't know. You know more than me. And that's why in this presentation, I am quoting, I'm bringing so many references that you conduct your own research. Social fluidity shaped, first of all, here, San Francisco, queer history. If we want to understand read the history, queer history, that why people started talking about gender identity, and not of only male and female, not only intersex, not only transgender, but they are talking about queer fluidity, queer in terms of gender, queer gender, that is, in the morning I'm female and in the evening I'm male. I'm thinking like this, I'm feeling like that. This is queer. That people had all the opportunity, all the openness, but why they could do that? They had question after question, question after question. So this is, in order to understand this, why this happened. It happened in the wake of gold rush. Gold rush happened in 1849. In California, gold was found, as oil was found after World War II in Middle East. Here, gold was found. and the people from all over the world, they rushed here. The people who had money and people who wanted to work, the miners particularly, those who wanted to work in the mines, they rushed there. The population of San Francisco at that time was a few thousands. And immediately, the statistics, I'll show you when we go further, that the population of that small village, or rather a village or a town, small town or a village, became 300,000 people coming from all over, immigrants. Everybody had different identity. And there were two major identities, more identities with them. They were single, because immediately they don't bring the family. Here also this happens. When you migrate, usually everybody does not come with the family. First comes and then brings the family. They came without families. 300,000 single. And then young people, most of them, because they wanted to work. They were minors, they were workers. So young people, single people, different identities, nobody bothering about anybody, that if I do something, somebody is watching, my father is watching, my family is watching, there will be a blame on the family, there will be blame, spot on my character, nothing like that. And there was a complete economic, social fluidity also available. Money was available. And then they were working hard. They needed some entertainment. All these factors joined together. There is the two interesting surveys in Muslim history, which Ali conducted in Kufa and Basra at the time, to see that what is the demography of the population, what is the demographic pattern of the distribution of the population. And in Kufa, it was a rudimentary form of demographics and the study which was done at that time. Now we have sophisticated methods. They found that the population was about 103,000 or something like that. And out of that, most of the population was young. And out of those young people, most of them were unemployed. And most of those people were not Kufans, and they were not Arabs, or they were mixed, because that was previously the part of Roman Empire. They had remained with Persian Empire. So it was a mixed thing. And that was causing many problems, but one of the problems was the unemployment. So that is the economic interpretation of the events, that why there was turmoil during the period of Ali, that people were restless, they were fighting, they were anxious, they used to come to the Ali's house and ask, when the war is taking place, they wanted to go to war so that they can find something at least to feed, to eat. These are reasons recorded, and not that they have recorded now. At that time, Muslim scholars have recorded, like Balazari, like Ibn Asir, like Ibn Kasir. The historians of that time, they've recorded these things. But the point is, that are we ready to go into that much literature and find out that why this was happening? So anyway, during this gold rush, this thing started. And this I will explain. This is very important aspect. This I'll explain later. What is social fluidity? I've explained. But again, it is before you. It refers to relation between individuals' class position and parents' class position. My father was poor. He was a farmer. Now I am having a white-collar job. Say a bureaucrat. It's a hell of a difference. Hardly the society, if it happens as a revolution, hardly any society can handle this. But if it is slowly and gradually taking place, people may handle it. Within 2 generations, it shows the difference of social mobility. What is this fluidity? Social mobility. Moving from blue collar, for example, to white collar jobs. In Urdu, you say, "No daulatiya jab koi ban jata hai, no daulatiya." So these things change. Culture changes. It may be vertical, horizontal, intragenerational, or intergenerational. This was the phenomenon which happened at that time. Absolute mobility refers to distribution and mobility table. There are tables. In the West, every nation has prepared this mobility table, and every time they keep on updating. Now, is the society becoming viscous? The people cannot move socially and economically from one job to the other. Today, we have, I think, perhaps a higher social mobility in the economy that you can change your jobs very easily. Now, social fluidity indicates inequality between individuals of different classes in their chances of moving to other position or class. Now, this was one factor which we discussed, social fluidity, and there was another factor which affected that how this situation has changed. We are all the time talking about LGBT, but within such a small span of time, it has changed so much. Labor market of capitalist economies enticed people, attracted people. Why are we here? Ask yourself any question. Why are we here? We are enticed by the labor market of the economy, that we can find a job here, we can do a business here, we can earn more money, and we can have economic comfort. That is why we are here. So this was the phenomenon of labor market. I'm focusing on one point. It's a very vast subject also. Labor market point is not the, I'm not discussing the capital market, the capitalism. The labor market of capitalist economies enticed people to break away from the countries, from the land, from the territory, from the families, from the culture. We leave the families and we come here. We leave all our family members, like old mother, old father, even wives, children. They are living at different places. To break away from their traditional nuclear families. What is a nuclear family? Nuclear family is husband, wife, and children. This is called nuclear family. If you include father and mother of the man, then it becomes an extended family. Then others and others, it can go on. Arham, relations of Arham, relations of Akraba, relations of Qurba. It goes on expanding. Now, and then Usba. From their traditional nuclear families, in order to pursue employment or business in bigger cities. Now, again, this is not my finding. These are the findings already there. I'm not a researcher. I'm not a philosopher. I'm just trying to point out that this, I have seen on the signboard, this is happening. And before that also, I gave you the reference, that kindly you read this reference. These are references. This is not my, work. On one subject, you will find hundreds of books, volumes of books. Now, coming together of single men in this situation, when the single man, young man, and now with money, no family control, no family time for, there's no need to give time to the family, they are away. Everything in every matter, one is free. What happened? Coming together of single men provided them freedom of sex. This is what happens in the hostels in the universities, colleges, even schools. And then where traditional identity, my identity was my father, my grandfather, my family name, surname, we used to call it surname, family name, my identity, my tribal identity, for example, and kinship relationship dissolved completely. This is happening in San Francisco. We are just discussing one city. There are so many others also, but this is one thing. And again, there is a reference on that. This is not my finding. Then we are now talking about World War II. World War II in human history. So if you want to study the modern political history, then we must study World War II. And in order to understand World War II, I had to study World War One. But I was finding a disconnect. So there is one book called, the title of the book is Between the World Wars. And it gives the status, shows the situation and why Hitler rose between World War One and World War Two. It's not sufficient just to read World War One. It is not sufficient to read just World War Two. In between, what happened? So in the wake of World War II, what happened? Before that and after that. From 1941, that is when the war started. Second World War started in 1939. To be exact, in September 39, when Hitler attacked, when the Gdansk was attacked. It started from there, 1939. But from 1941, America prepared. Others, European countries also prepared. America prepared. From 1941, almost 250 women served in Women Army Corps, single, young. 2/3 of whom were single and under age of 25. This is analysis. We Muslims don't conduct research. We just take it as a gospel truth and we start believing blindly. Allah says, don't believe in whatever even I send you as a revelation. Don't fall into blindly. Study. The research shows that these are the figures, why these have been analyzed. Again, this reference. It is from a reference, from a separate thing. And then what happened after World War II? This was 41. Now we are in after 45. After World War II, returning elite from colonies. And now this is the period when the colonial empires also collapsed. British Empire collapsed. And they had to give independence to India 1947, China 1949, Singapore, Korea. Now the colonies are finished, but they had armies there. They had people there. They had bureaucrats there. They had landlords there. They had businessmen there. They came back. Not only that they came back with money. And not only that they only came back, but other people also who had the opportunity, they also came to these areas. Why Kashmiris are more in England, in Britain? This is the phenomenon of Second World War. So those people in the world who had money, first of all, those who belonged to these places, they came back to their places, homes. And number two, those who had money, they also came because this was an emerging economy. A new superpower was emerging. It had attraction. There were employment opportunities. And at the same time, God has given them gold. Not only gold, but all other resources. You can't talk of any resource, and God has given here the resources. So this elite from colonies and veterans, the army people and all other veterans, all types of veterans, were mostly attracted to emerging superpowers. Why Einstein came here? There was a phenomenon going on before World War II in Germany that the Jews were migrating with money. Emerging superpower, and kindly analyze. There is another analysis that the people who were migrating from Germany, the Jews who had money, what was their business there at that time? To which business? What was the money? For example, it is important to analyze that the money which China today has, what is the composition of that money? We say so many hundreds of billions of dollars. Whose money it is? What is the composition of those dollars? So anyway, these people, when they came here, they settled in urban areas, cities like San Francisco and New York. Then in this race, ultimately, New York went ahead of San Francisco. Gold rush took place in San Francisco, but now New York, as the capital of superpower, it started making bigger strides, and it went ahead. Developing city, New York. These returnees, these people who came from the as veterans and as elite with money, and the businessmen and so many people from all over the world with different gendered appearances. These returnees from wilderness, they came from mountains. They came from deserts. They were in the wilderness of the colonies. These people were working there in hard conditions also. They were not in the cities there. Deputy Commissioner Jacobabad, for example. Deputy Commissioner Torkham. Places like that. When they returned from wilderness, oceans, deserts, and colonies, they brought some background habits. Now they had money, they had habits, and there were a lot of influx of population, which I've explained, gradually carved out city culture or urban culture. Now everybody agrees, the sociologists agree, that LGBT is the creation of urbanization. Urban is an urban aspect. Even today, in the rural areas in America, in the West, it is least, because the local cultural effect is very strong there. And here, the local cultural effect, which was based on the legal system, I already mentioned that the homosexuality was very severely punished, that was dissolved in urban areas. And then why this speed? The speed has been added to the urbanization by globalization. So these are now identified the two major factors, that these are at the root. Now that they are at the foundation, they are now raising it further and further. Urban, and then started the globalization. Now, after that, now these are, from here we can draw the lessons. Today we don't understand. We are sitting here. All of us are first generation. We came here, most of us, if I can understand. Most of us, we have come on our own. Our fathers did not bring us here. My father didn't bring me here. And most of us who are sitting here, we are the first generation. Is the second generation here? No. You analyze the composition of your worshippers, believers here in the mosque. You will find that the majority is the first generation. What about the second generation? The second generation is already joined, is affected by this process of dissolution, which is taking place because of urbanization, because of globalization, and because of all the factors which I have mentioned to some extent. We have lost. That is why in the beginning I said that I will not be able to make any dent unless every family understands this, every person understands this. And particularly those whose families are back home and he's here or she's here. And I've seen mothers coming here for consultation. Today also I have 3 counseling sessions. And most of them, when they come, there are certain aspects which have to be analyzed, but even women are single who have migrated. Before that, I was at such and such country, I was working alone, and then I migrated here. I was in such and such country in the university. My family had allowed me. With a lot of difficulty, I joined that university. And after doing that, I thought if I go back, I'll be again caught up in the culture of my family. So I didn't go. I moved to this place. There are women, there are girls, there are ladies who are also single. It's not only that the male are single here, but there are ladies also who are single. Epilogue. Now I'm going towards the I'm going for bringing some points from the epilogue, from the conclusion, which I would have given at the end, but because of the anxiety of the people, I brought it before. Summary so far, what we have discussed. Perpetual cause of inequality of woman with man, perpetual cause, right from the day the human being was created. It is in the genes, it is in the biology, it is in the nature, it is in the social setup, the way the man was created, right from the beginning, and from the Adam also, when we come to Adam. inequality of woman with man is considered to be the patriarchal structure of family. Man had a dominant position. He could hunt. He could bring food for the family. He could travel longer distances. He could carry more weight. He could do tedious jobs. So he could do a lot of things. So it became a patriarchal society. That is why there is an inequality because of these things, which enslaves woman. This is now the doctrine, the finding, the concept of the LGBT people, that the inequality is perpetual. And why it is perpetual? It is because of the family. And why it is in the family? Because it is patriarchal. There is one head, a man of the house, father, grandfather, or husband. So they wanted to undo that. Has been articulated that differentiating gender, and this brought them to the point to differentiate between gender and sex. Last time we discussed this, so I'm not going into those details. But then when they found that the cause is the family, and within the family it is the patriarchy, and because of this patriarchy there is inequality between woman and man, then they came to the second step, and they found, according to them, they are presenting now, they presented a sex gender model, not just sex model. They said that this male female model is only sex model. So they wanted to make a sex gender combined model where they could differentiate between sex and gender. He said, okay, man has a different sex, but gender is a different thing. So sex gender model has been articulated that differentiates between gender, that differentiates gender from sex, and demolishes the traditional family structure. It is through this philosophy, the sex gender model, in which it has been differentiated. I wish I would have explained it from Quran, but we are not discussing any religion. And it levitates community network. It facilitates and levitates, cuts the foundation, and it levitates the community. You will find in the LGBT literature all the time, they're not talking about family. They're talking about community. Where is the family which makes the community? No, in the LGBT community, family is not required. I had referred to the communism of Plato also. He did not require a family. They don't need a family. They need a community. Anybody who is LGBTQAZ 107, he can join that community. No need of coming through the family, raising the community from the family. Now the family is dissolved. There's no family at all. And it levitates the community network, and they talk of networking. That is the basis of relationship, networking. A has networking with B, C, D, E. That is enough. That is relationship. Of sex orientation and gender identity. Now there's another step I had mentioned and explained that also. From differentiation of sex and gender, now they have come to differentiation of what? Sex orientation. From sex to sex orientation, and from gender to gender identity. And now this will go on differentiating, expanding, differentiating. Now this becomes now the sex gender model. This is now the doctrine. From history, we have come to the doctrine. Although gender takes its roots from biology of sex. Gender comes from the noun. It is an adjective, but now it has been made, the grammar has been changed, it has been made a noun itself. Although scientifically, gender is the root of biology, it comes from the biology of sex. But you will see that how they have differentiated, expressing itself in psychology, in environments, in the culture, in the family. Now all these things have been hit, called sociology. Now they have changed this sociology, social concepts. They changed the dictionary, the lexicography. The trio which is at this basis in nature, the trio, bio, psycho, socio. This trio has been dismantled. Bio, psycho, socio. Socio is based on psycho and psycho is based on bio. And if we do away with the bio basis, that no, gender is not based on bio, the gender is not based on sex, is not based on bio, it's independent. So because of this philosophy, they completely separated. They say, no, there's no connection between sex and gender. The sex is male. In the morning, he's male. And in the evening, he said, it doesn't matter that the sex remains the same, but the gender changes because they say it is totally independent. This is the philosophy, which is intricately inseparable, but in the philosophy, they have separated it. And even the doctors, they discuss, they argue. No, gender is a different thing. Freedom of sexes, not one only, sexes and genders, and I've given the historical reasons, economic reasons, social reasons we've already discussed, has cooked up, and even this word soup is not my word. I've not invented this word. I've just picked up from their literature. It has cooked up a hot soup. They call it a hot soup, hot and sour soup. It is a hot and sour soup of sex, gender identity, and gender roles. This is their word. Freedom of sex and gender, now it comes to complete freedom. First is separation. When it's separated, then they developed further philosophy from sex to sex orientation, then to their roles, and then the gender and gender identity, gender fluidity, gender orientation, gender role, and these all things went down. Now, in this hot soup, freedom of sex and gender, expression. Why they use this word expression? They use the word expression that if I feel like a woman and if I don't express it, so what is the use of it? There should be freedom to express it. One can go to B and tell her, communicate with her or with him and tell him I'm so and so, I'm ready, I'm willing, I'm available. And that expression, how to express, we'll see in colors, in flags, in animals, in icons, in signs, in clothes, in words, in dictionary, in grammar. Everything has been prepared. It is working. It is already there. Bookstores, internet, the algorithm of the internet, algorithm of the search engine, algorithm of the artificial intelligence. You put anything there, and your brain is centrally controlled by the central search engine and the AI. They give you an answer, and we feel that this is the answer. It is centrally controlled. First time in human history that the brain is now centrally controlled by the central search engine and the AI, and that is controlled by the algorithm which has been fed into it. It is giving a reply according to that algorithm. Now, sex and gender expression or freedom of expression of sex orientation. Now things are boiling down to precipitation. What expression? Expression of not only sex, that I'm male or female, but expression of sex orientation. Somebody wants to tell that I'm so and so and I'm available like that. How to tell that? It's very fascinating. And then when we go further, wearing the ring on this finger or on this finger or on the left side or on the right side, or the black color or the white color or the gold color, or whatever it is, it has meanings. It has a communication. It has expression. And gender expression solely as individual sense, as I feel. Even the doctor, even the law has no authority to tell me that you are male. It's my own sense. I say, no, I'm female. During Obama administration, they allowed the Social Security and this insurance, medical insurance, that you can ask the question, What is your gender? And whatever the man says, whatever the girl says, whatever the woman says, that is his or her gender. Write it down. Just write down. That is his gender. Gender expression solely as individual sense without any limitation, without any parameter. It's my own decision. This is how we define freedom of expression. But burning something is not does not come under the limitation. Now, liberty is assertive. If I have liberty, then I must have the liberty to express myself. Becoming assertive, forceful, step by step becoming more forceful. Liberty is asserted to express socially in a society. If I express myself, close the room, I lock it up, and I express myself in a different way, it doesn't make any sense. I must express myself in the society. I must express myself in the family. I must express it before my mother, before my sister. This is what the philosophy tells, preaches. It is there. Liberty, and I had in the beginning, one of the lectures, I said that the Renaissance failed on two accounts. Renaissance failed in giving equality to women. It did not give. It is not, there is even no mention of women rights in Renaissance and in the French Revolution, in the charter which they gave first time, which it is called the Charter of Men, Rights of Men, Charter of Rights of Men. There's no mention of women. Therefore, the women continued their struggle. And after Renaissance, after French Revolution, the punishment for the homosexuality was the severest in history. That is why there was a movement against it, and ultimately they got a chance after Second World War, which I have explained, that they demolished everything. Now, liberty is asserted to express socially in a society, behavior, in my behavior, in attitude, and in appearance also. I can wear any dress. As internal sense of own gender. Otherwise, I have no liberty. If I have no liberty to express my inner sense. In particular, gender role. Now we are coming to gender expression is something different and gender role is something different in their terminology. What is gender expression? Gender expression is the way I wear, the way I speak, the way I manifest, the way I communicate that I'm so and so. This is gender expression. What is gender role? Gender role is that if previously woman had to rear the children, now the woman said, no, she will not rear bring up the children. The man must also be equal in rearing the children. He must also work equally in the home. Gender role is changing. I will not rear the children. I'll work outside. And now men can sit in the home and then I can work outside. This is equality. It's not that all the time I work home and my husband works outside. I look after the children. No, change the roles, make it equal. This is role. The role is different from expression. Now, in particular, gender role, which may not necessarily reflect gender identity. What does that mean? That this gender role, that my husband is rearing the children, it should be so equal that it should not make any difference. One should not feel that, oh, man is now bringing up the children. No, this feeling should go away. You are all equal. We are coming to that stage. Although gender expression, this is very subtle, but this has to be understood. Unless we understand this, we can't discuss with them at all. Expression is socially associated with gender as femininity or masculinity defined and accepted by the society in concern, and I'm not going into those details. These are more subtle things. Then I mentioned about the French Revolution. Do I have still time to go?
You have been 1 hour, so.
Oh no, so I stop here. French Revolution itself is a very heavy thing. Okay. So I stop at the French Revolution. I mentioned something about it. If Allah willing, we may start next time with, inshallah, with French Revolution. if you will all agree. Subhan rabbika rabbil izzat amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك يا ربنا تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك. اللهم ادخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. اللهم اخرجنا من ظلمات الجهل والوهم إلى نور العلم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك وبطاعتك عن معصيتك وبفضلك عن من سواك. اللهم بفضلك ورحمتك على كلمة الحق والدين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وعز المسلمين يا أكرم الأكرمين. Oh Allah, spread your mercy upon us, shower us with your blessings, increase our knowledge, grant us forgiveness, and reward us with the company of the prophets in the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, forgive our parents and all our friends and relatives who have passed away. Oh Allah, make their graves a garden from heaven and grant them the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, we have many of our friends and relatives who are sick. Oh Allah, we have our son Ma'raj, our daughter Aisha Wani, the wife of our brother Anis, and many others. Oh Allah, grant all of them full and speedy recovery. Oh Allah, guide our children, protect them, and make them righteous. Oh Allah, we ask you with every name you have elected for yourself, that none of us leave this gathering, but his pains have been relieved, his worries have been removed, his debts have been paid, his weaknesses have been concealed, his sins have been forgiven, and his needs have been fulfilled. Subhanallah wa bihamdih, عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.